Boom, Megan Cook, we are going. How are you?
I'm great. How are you today?
Thank you very much for joining the studio on this Friday afternoon. I know it's sunny outside right now, but you could be
Amazing.
doing a million other things, so I appreciate it that
There's
you're here
nowhere
with
I'd
me.
rather be.
How was your day?
It was great. I worked this morning, so, just slinging those lattes at Starbucks, funding my company. So it's kind of a cycle, but it's good.
That's
it's
awesome.
Good times. Yeah, a lot of people out this morning, so it was really busy. But
Where'd you grow up?
I grew up here.
Okay.
So I actually grew up in Harrietsfield, like around the Loop. I'm a Loop girl.
Okay.
Out that way. So that's where I grew up. Went to jail Lillesley, of course. And then I actually moved out west for 5 years. So I did a bit of a stint out there, and then I moved back home. So I've been around a little bit, but I definitely prefer this coast.
Where did you live out west?
I was in Fort Saskatchewan for 4 years.
Okay.
And then I moved to Edmonton for a year, which was not really my thing. A little bit.
Edmonton Oilers guy here.
Okay, yeah, go Oilers. Woo. No, I really appreciated kind of like the culture and stuff. It's just definitely like fast paced. So you kind of get you pick where you want to go. So it's definitely good, but I prefer the ocean.
Are you a little jealous right now that JL Isley has a brand new school?
Yeah, I'm 100% jealous. And it's beautiful.
So nice.
Oh my gosh, I drove by it the other day, and even that neighborhood is just so much more like, I don't know, it's just way like more developed and nice and community wise. Like,
what's it called? Governor's Brook or the new you know what I
mean?
mean?
Like behind jail Lillesley? Yeah, no, those are great. Like those houses are going for like $600,000 right now. It's
I had
insane.
a buddy that moved there 3 years ago, bought it for 4.
Okay.
And I think his neighbor sold. No, he's not. But his neighbor, like you said, is up for like 6.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's a crazy market. But just everyone, please just think of the fixed interest rates in 5 years. That's my only advice.
Okay, good advice. So yeah, I'm happy you're here. So I'll give you a little bit about our podcast. It's mostly athletes, but we have entrepreneurs, we have chefs, we have comedians. If you move a couch, I would consider you you do something. As long as you do something, you got lungs and you got air in your lungs, you're good to go to come on the podcast.
Wicked.
And I was talking to our mutual friend, and he was telling me about the app that you created, and I thought it was interesting because when I was a student, I was not the most organized individual. I'm still not. I definitely still need help with it. And anyone that is in the academic space looking to make a difference, not that I think it's a flawed system, but there's definitely things that need to change about it. But if there's someone that's in that space trying to improve it, I definitely have time to talk to that individual. So I'm happy you're here to talk about the app that you've created and shed a little light on what you're working on.
Thank you very much. Yeah, it's funny because I feel like every entrepreneur says this, but the idea came to me when I missed an assignment. So I was 26 going back to school as a mature student, and I was working too much. I ended up missing an assignment, just kind of overlooked everything. So that kind of sparked something, and then kind of gathering, information from other students and just the way that the information is provided to you. Like, it's just overwhelming, especially at 18. Like, I was older and I missed a test. I couldn't imagine. Like, I tried at 18. I had no organizational skills. So it's just hard when you don't have the tools, right? You can't necessarily succeed. Even if it's not the academics itself, you kind of need that structure, the environment and tools to be able to do well and feel good about yourself. So yeah, basically after gathering kind of just input, I decided to do a business plan just on a whim. And then I decided to tell people about it. And here we are creating an app. So it's really exciting. And I hope that this helps people stay in school and just, build that confidence and transfer that into their career, because that's really important to me is just feeling good and knowing your abilities, right? Without feeling defeated because something didn't work. That's just, I guess, a passion of mine. I feel very strongly about that. So yeah, that's kind of where it came from. And then from there, yeah, it's just kind of, I don't want to say blown up, but it's gotten a lot of reaction, which is really good, really exciting for me. So yeah, I'm in the middle of development. I'm going to be done like middle of April, launch in September, hopefully. So we're going really quick here. It's really fun.
So what do your days look like?
So my days look like, as of right now, I'm completely crazy. I'm doing 3 different jobs. I'm working at Starbucks. I'm doing a side like accounting kind of research type situation, which is helpful for my business. And then I'm also developing an app. So weekly meetings within the app. But I guess the initial process was I was a little bit blind to it, as in I literally blueprint everything and give it to them and they code it. So it was a lot at the beginning, but I guess day to day now, weekly meetings in the morning, go to work, come home, work on the app. It's a balance, but I'm really good at multitasking. It's kind of my thing. So weirdly enough, I like being crazy like this because I feel like it's my thing. I don't know if that makes sense.
I get it.
But yeah, no, it's very busy, but it's really good, and I don't think it's gonna slow down. So I'm basically just waiting for this to kind of, the marketing is gonna come, beta testing, stuff like that. So yeah, it's really exciting. It's just, yeah,
That's awesome.
it's a balance.
What kind of student were you in high school?
So it's funny because I was a terrible student in high school. Terrible. Like, I'm talking, like, some classes I'd be doing really well. I was a social butterfly, got in trouble a lot for talking. Yeah, it wasn't reflective of, I guess, who I am. I just kind of was always distracted, you know what I mean, socially. And then even I went to university when I was 18. I went to Mount Allison University. I did 3 years. I ended up dropping out just for personal reasons. And I knew I always wanted to go back. So when I went back, I was very determined. I said, this is my money this time. Like, the first time was student loan. It was like party on. This time I'm like, okay, this is serious. So I made a promise to myself, like I was just going to head down for 2 years, and I just got my degree done within like a year and a half.
Oh,
and
congrats.
yeah, thank you. And my GPA is like 4.0. I don't know. I guess I grew up in the sense of just I care now, and it was really interesting because working up north, I got so much business experience. It kind of like ignited the flame again. So I had initially tried science, which was a terrible idea, and then I knew I always liked business, so it was just kind of weird how it worked because I needed that experience to kind of like show me my passion.
Yeah.
And then I went back, and I guess the biggest thing is just you need to like what you're doing, right? You need to be interested, and it was nice to be able to apply those to like my real life. So yeah, now I'm a different person. 10 years later, who would have thought,
It's weird how that happens.
It is, yeah. And like, I guess as a mature student, it's, socially you're kind of like, I don't want to be in class with all these people, but like, who cares, And at the end of the day, I feel like I got so much more from school this time that it's just so beneficial to me. And now, like, on this track, I would have never come up with this idea, when I was younger. So I guess it worked out for me.
That's cool.
Yeah.
What does market research look like when you're trying to design an app that helps students stay organized? Do you talk to a lot of kids who are 18, 19? Like, how does that side of it work?
Yeah. So my process, I think, was like a bit different. So I had created this business plan for a class. And then from that, my prof gave me feedback. And anyway, he kind of just pointed me in the right direction. So market research looks like, who are you trying to help? Who's your primary target? So mine is first year university students, but specifically those with ADHD. So you basically are just trying to find information that supports what your cause is and how that would benefit people. So you just kind of go into different sectors. You can talk to people face to face. Obviously in the beginning, you're going to research a lot of things. It's kind of more of a I guess like textbook kind of format. But then once you get going, it's really beneficial to obviously talk with people. And as of right now, like students with ADHD, students without, like everyone is testing the app just to kind of give me, the most real feedback, because of course in my head, everything looks great, but you have to get the voice of the customer. So yeah, it can look different for everyone. There's also groups you can join and kind of get it all done in like one go. But for me, I stuck to the internet. The government, like those resources. So if you were to talk to, like, for instance, post accessibility services, for me, that's kind of in accordance with ADHD. So I reached out to them. They provide me some, clients or students that want to give me feedback. So it's just kind of, reaching out to certain sectors that you believe are going to be beneficial. And of course, that's always like supported by research, because you have to do a business plan that makes sense. So yeah, it can look different, but that's kind of like it in a nutshell, I guess.
Yeah. The government's really helpful around here to help small businesses. They've funded a couple projects for us. They're very very entrepreneur, young people kind of driven, which I wish I knew a little bit younger. I was so stubborn when I first started this. Like, I don't need anyone's help. I don't need anyone's money.
Yeah.
I'll do it myself. And then you're like a year, 2 years in, you're like, I need someone's help. And
it's hard,
you
though.
start looking, it's hard. It's hard to ask for help?
It's hard. It's hard to ask for help,
Yeah.
especially you have that tunnel vision of like, you're so protective of
Yeah.
it. Like, I was like, don't show anyone my business plan. And my prof's like, okay, but like, they're not going to steal your idea. And of course, you just feel like everything's kind of like yours and you want to protect it. So I completely understand that. But definitely, I wish I would have known it a little bit sooner in the sense of like grants and stuff, but they've been great with like resources. last year I was lucky enough to do kind of like a developmental meeting within the disability sector. So there was there was 16 people there that were like throughout Atlantic Canada, and I just kind of gave a presentation, showed them kind of what I was going to provide, and the feedback was really great, which is great for me. So
What can you give me some examples of
yeah,
feedback?
yeah. So essentially, like this service, there's a similar service offered, I should say. It's not necessarily exactly what I do, but it's a little bit different. Now everyone wants everything on their phone, like right now, notifications, like it's the way we live, right? So I guess for me, I was just in the perfect place at the perfect time. I was the one that wanted to create an app. They want someone to create an app. Nobody really wanted to, expense the app. So here I am. So it just ended up working like really well. Students were giving them feedback for like a year and a half now on what they wanted. And I came in and it was what they wanted. Like it just, I can't explain it. I'm not sure.
I get it.
It almost was like it just fit perfectly. So for me, it just, it kind of fell in my lap, I guess. Not to say I'm in like the government budget. At least they know what my service is and how it can help people. So it's good for me to just, I guess, talk to people and expose the idea.
Cool.
Yeah.
I've always wondered when building apps, I know for my business, it's easy to communicate what I want because it's physical. I want you here, you're here. I want Jeff here, he's here. I need these buttons to switch the camera, he's here. But when it comes to an app, and I know nothing about apps and building an app, is it hard? I'm sure you might be an expert, you might not be, but I'm sure you have a team of people maybe helping you. Is it hard to communicate your vision to techie people?
Absolutely.
Do you know what I'm asking?
Absolutely. Okay. And I can answer this with passion because this was a learning curve for me. I went the route where I hired a team. So I have a project manager, developer, designer, all under one like umbrella. Whereas if I did it individually, I'd have to manage all that. And I'm just not a software type gal. Like I've taken some classes and stuff, but it's just not my expertise. So I knew I needed someone to really kind of communicate well with me and be very straightforward. So I'd hired them, and I design everything. I own the coding. They just provide it for me. So we're talking like blueprints of screen per screen. So for instance, your login screen, what does that look like when you press this button? What does that do? What does that look like? So yes, it was a lot of work, but it's awesome because I'm a little bit of a control freak. So it worked out. But again, huge learning curve. So communication wise, I would say like visuals are a must, as in like drawing them, showing them how it's made that way. And again, just being very organized in the sense of what you want is clear and detailed. So I guess my only advice would be to just really provide visuals, lists, tidbits, notes, just to make sure you're really getting what you want because a lot can get translated. I'm lucky because I have a designer and kind of like project manager on one end and then the developer on the other. So I tell them what I want, they tell the other guy, so it's kind of a chain reaction. So I guess that answers your question.
I got it. Yeah. Do you consider yourself a leader or a manager when it comes to everything about your app?
I would say a leader.
Yeah.
I'm very much
lead
struggle.
by example.
Lead by example, yes. And I very much I guess struggle with asking for help, but I'm getting better at that. I think leaders need to ask for help and need to ask for expertise when they don't have it, and that's something I'm kind of in the midst of learning. And it doesn't necessarily mean that like if you're not good at something, like literally the number one rule in business is like hire someone that is, you know what I mean? And I guess for me, it's always been textbook of that, but like to actually do it is kind of where I'm at. So managing and leading, I think, is different. I think leading is inspiring and to, pump your team up and to give feedback, give criticism, but like all in, in positive ways. Whereas management can sometimes look a little bit different where you're just kind of managing the moving parts.
I got you.
Yeah.
What's one thing you think you've learned about yourself over these past couple years about building an app? Because you're going to have to go through trials and tribulations where you want to stop. It's not worth it. The money's not. There's so many things that can run through your head, but you're still going. I've heard you've won an award.
Yeah.
So there's obviously things you have to go through in order to keep going. Well, what's one thing you've learned about yourself in order to go through those tough times?
I would just say don't the highs and lows I find are hard to kind of manage. Like when you're on a high, and something's going really well and you're just like, this is going to work. And then of course you get feedback. It's not going to work. So I guess learning about myself is just seeing the bigger picture and understanding that like not everything is a finalized decision. You can always learn from that. So for me, I guess just trusting myself and leading the process, but also like accepting people's feedback would be like the biggest thing. Like I said, I won that award, and then from there it's just been kind of wildfire. So
That's awesome.
I got a little bit lost at first, I won't lie, in just the sense of like I just felt like everything was moving too fast. So I feel a bit more grounded now, and I'm taking it with stride.
Yeah.
So it's been good. Just definitely a learning curve, but
Yeah.
that's fun, I guess.
It's yeah. When things go well in the business, you want to just, you want
like
to go to get a couple drinks. You just want to
Yeah.
like feel the high.
Facebook posts, like
Yeah.
let's go. Yeah, it's very hard, and I think like I hate to say it, but it's a very like lonely road to be an entrepreneur in the sense of it's not necessarily like negative. It's just you're working behind the scenes so much that you don't show a lot, and that can be hard sometimes. Like I guess that's another thing I learned, that just not everyone is going to understand that, and that's something you just have to like keep moving forward with. I don't know if you experienced that, but like the highs and lows were me at the beginning. I'm just like, it was very hard.
Don't get me going.
Oh, really? Okay, yeah. It's tough.
It is.
Especially when you're a type A.
It's worth it though. It's fun when. I'm not going to get into that. It's worth it when you go through that stuff.
Yeah.
I was a frustrated student. And I look at the younger generation right now, and I don't know if they're frustrated or not. They could be having a great time. I don't really know what's going on in an 18-year-old's head. How old are you? First year university, 19?
Yeah,
whatever?
19.
What's the common message do you think right now from 19-year-olds, 18-year-olds that have ADHD that are going through university that aren't learning maybe as quickly as their friends? What do you think the common conversation is like right now with those individuals?
I think it's a lack of resources, honestly. I was a little bit blindsided to learn that students with learning disabilities, I just always thought support-wise within post-secondary was huge. You get a laptop, you get a note taker, stuff like that. But after actually researching it, it's really crazy. Like essentially someone who has ADHD, they're held with a meeting like in the beginning of the year to organize themselves, but there's no check-ins, right? Like there's no checkpoints. It's kind of like they set them up for 4 months and just kind of expect them to follow suit. And that is like very lonely. That's frustrating. That's hard, especially if you don't naturally, have those tools. I didn't have those tools at 18. I haven't been diagnosed with ADHD. But at the same time, just feeling so small. If you're not doing as well as people around you and you don't know why, or it takes you a bit longer to learn something, for me, I can relate because it always took me like watching a video, reading a textbook. Like I always needed a bit more information to understand things. So I guess for me, that's why I can kind of relate. But my message would just be, I guess, focus on the bigger picture in the long term, because like in the moment it feels so big, but it's not. And there's always resources out there to help. There's always people that will help you. I guess just asking for help is a big thing. I know a lot of people are embarrassed. A lot of people that don't do well or feel like they're not doing well or are frustrated, like they're embarrassed. So it's never a discussion point, right? Like you're only really talking about like, how'd you do on that? Oh, well, or this and that. So just being okay with who you are, I guess, and asking for help when you need it. And I know that sounds so cliche, like I hate even saying that, but at the same time, like, especially right now in the world, like ask for help, lean on your friends. And I find people are more supportive than ever because everyone's kind of in the same situation and their experience doesn't look the same as mine. Like I had Frosh Week, I had all this stuff like to kind of introduce me into university, and now it's just essentially you're on a computer, you're taking online courses. Now we're back in person, so I guess it's a bit different, but still, yeah, I guess just asking for help, trusting yourself, and once you find your passion, like things get a bit easier. So yeah.
Well said. I know a couple people and buddies who are not buddies, but buddies of buddies who are trying to go to school. Maybe I guess this was like last year, maybe 2 years ago, and everything was online, and a lot of people have trouble with that.
It was terrible. I was only in school for 2 months and then everything got changed to online, and it just, I guess for me, I'm outgoing, so it wasn't really an issue connecting with people, but like I showed up to my graduation, I didn't know anyone. It was just weird, and it's not the same. Like for me, I already had an experience, so I kind of was just like, it is what it is. But I'd actually tried in like 2017 working with Chris up north. I had tried doing online school and I dropped out within a week because I'm like, I am not this student. So when it went online this time, I had like a meltdown. I'm like, I can't drop out again. And it's very challenging because nobody is behind you checking on you,
Yeah,
you know?
you're an adult. It's
Yeah.
the first time you're an
Yeah.
adult.
And like profs, I mean, profs are great. And of course, there was like more support. But at the end of the day, like you're still on your computer. There's no face to face interaction. It's tough. Like it's tough. And I do know a lot of people, you know, pause their degree until they can go back in person. And if you need to do that, like do that. You need, in my opinion, it's better to get, you know, the most out of your academic material versus feeling frustrated all the time and just trying to get it done because you're on like a set timeline. I feel like I'm a spokesperson for that though, because I kind of like dropped out and went back, you know, like, but yeah, that would be, I guess, my advice for that. But it is frustrating. And the online school, I think there's going to be a disconnect with that. Maybe like transitioning into career, like personal skills, socially, like there might be challenges. I don't know what that looks like, but I guess time will tell. Like it's unfortunate, but I guess it's reality right now. So
yeah, I agree with the social disconnect with the Zoom meetings and things like that. That's why we're in person right now. I there's a part of me that if I do a Zoom podcast, there's just that level of disconnect there that I don't know how to ask a question because I'm kind of waiting for you to. It's like right now you don't see me looking at any questions. I'm just listening to you and I'm rebuttaling of what you're saying. But with those Zoom, I can't like explain it. But when you're having a Zoom podcast, there's that 2-second delay.
Yeah.
So you have to almost wait. Okay, is he done talking? He's done talking. Okay, he's done talking. Okay, so what did you do last year when you went to Harvard? And then you ask these other questions. It's kind of a weird delay, but you're right. It creates a social disconnect.
It is.
And
yeah, I know. It's really weird. I even or you're over talking people. Yeah, I was so excited that this was in person. This is my first kind of like outing. And I was like, I am there. Stat. Yeah, my outing. It's weird, but I think we're getting there. We won't get into that. It's very political. So
I like
keep it clean.
I like I like stories about being a go-getter and starting a business. I have tons of them. They're you look back at them. They're like, I woke up at 5 to catch a bus to go here to go do something. And it's like, oh, it sucks then. But looking back on it now, I love that I did it. I was wondering if you had any stories like that when you're trying to start the app that you started. Do you have any funny stories like that of just like grinding times? Maybe you're stuck in the rain, the bus splashed you, you're trying to get to a meeting, anything like that?
Shoot, I probably blew my first interview. That was really bad. I got called in. Do you
need a tissue, by the way?
No. Yeah. My nose is just itchy. I'm sorry. The mask, I have like phantom mask nose because I wear it for 8 hours a day. So it's just, anyway. My first radio interview. Anyway, I'd called in. I didn't know what was going on. They're playing the song. I don't know if I'm connected. It was really awkward. I think I had said something before he had asked me a question. Not that this is necessarily like that embarrassing. Just for me, I'm like so awkward sometimes. So I just, it was a lot and it was live. So I just like, it was a little bit of a hurdle, but no, I guess, no funny stories. I'm trying to think off the top of my head. No funny stories.
That's all good.
That's so lame.
No, it's
boo.
You're still in the early processes. You could something might happen. And then you'll come back on the podcast and then you tell me what happened.
Yeah, exactly.
Those are the best stories.
I'll just keep note of that. Yeah, perfect.
So what does it take to actually launch the podcast? You said that it's still not launched. When did you say it's coming out?
So I'm going to release the app in September as of right now.
Okay.
So it's hopefully going to be aligned with when people go back to school. It's going to, as of right now, which of course project management timelines never really stick. But middle of April is when it's supposed to be done. I'm just taking the summer to kind of market it, position it really well. I'm going after student unions, like orientation packages, stuff like that. And yeah, that's kind of my plan. So it's going to be heavy marketing in the summer. I just rebranded my logo, which was really nice. I finally decided on one. That was a bit of a long process just because anyway, it's hard when you have like 10 in front of you to pick the perfect one, but we finally did that. And now it's getting people interested. It's really building the hype. I'm on the TikTok and I'm trying I'm on the TikTok and I'm trying to, because 18-year-olds, 19-year-olds, that's their hangout, right? So I'm trying to be cool and, make those. It's just, I guess, reaching my target audience in, like, I'm 28, so I just have to like go back to that 18-year-old self of like what applies to you. But that's why I have students working with me, because their voice is the most important. They're going to buy my app. So that's what that looks like. And I'm just hoping to get the hype out there. And come September, we're launching in schools. So eventually I hope to partner with schools. Obviously, that's a big picture. Government, stuff like that. My investor's in the States, so we might double launch at the same time.
Ooh.
Yeah, so to be continued.
Ooh.
Because I think that might happen, but we don't know yet.
The market in the States.
The market in the States, he's in Texas. So he's given me a lot of
oil money.
Oh yeah, and he's a serial entrepreneur. He doesn't need to worry about that. But
serial entrepreneur.
Yeah, so my investor is actually my old boss. So we had met out west. I had worked with him for a bit. It was right after I worked up north. So we had worked together. I had asked him to lay me off because I literally one day decided to drive home, finish my degree. It was like a in the moment decision. So I drove home. He had actually written the recommendation letter for me to win that award. So he was kind of within the process, and I just kept kind of sending him updates. And one day he texts me, he's like, do you still need an investor? And I'm like, yeah. So that's honestly how it happened. And we just kind of negotiated. Him and his wife know kind of my background and like my passion and stuff. So it was really important that I needed that personal relationship as an investor. I needed him to kind of, I don't want to say respect my decisions, because I feel like that kind of sounds bad, but just give me the control to make the decisions, especially just because you're in it and you've researched it. So it's like the perfect working relationship. Which is, I don't know. That can be a huge hurdle, and that can be a huge headache. Well, and
I feel like that's a huge confidence booster.
It is. And to have someone believe in you like that. Yeah, it's crazy to think about that. Yeah, just one day it was like a text, but I think a lot of that had to do, I don't know, just he knows my working, he knows me, he knows my relationship with him, his family. Like we made a lot of like connections. So obviously that, you trust someone.
It's interesting. Any business relationships I've ever made, and if we ever had a meeting, what we have, 10% was about business, 90% about the meeting was personal.
Yeah.
Who are you? Where are you from? Who do you know? What have you done? It's weird how those relationships have really nothing to do with business.
No.
They're mostly personal. Is the person sitting across from me going to screw me over? Is this a nice person? It's cool.
And I think that was my biggest, like, when I was initially looking for an investor, like, everyone kept telling me, like, make sure you like this person outside of, the investor relationship. And of course, when you're first starting out, you're like, that sounds kind of cliche. Like, of course it's in the back of your mind, but 100% that is what you need. And you need to be able to trust that person. That person needs to trust you. And I know it might not be everyone's dynamic, but for me, it's something I needed. I needed him to trust me, although I needed his expertise, his reach, his background and stuff like that. It was just really important to me to have that personal relationship outside of business, because that's what's going to like hold you together, in my opinion, and make you successful long term. I've just heard horror stories about investors and shotgun clauses and tricky things. So yeah, it's you want to be, it's a compliment, but also like it needs to be beneficial on both ways, like on both sides. So
because I'm not going to say like the investor is your boss, but now it's your partner.
Yeah.
So you have to make sure that if you're working together and you have to report back the numbers, report back the down, whatever it is, that person isn't going to, blow a gasket if, what they're hearing isn't great off the beginning, because that's going to, lose your confidence, I guess.
Yeah. And you don't want to feel like it's your business and you're kind of like, held back from certain decisions. So definitely that would be my biggest advice, actually, is getting to know someone before you make that decision. Just because you have to look at it long term and for the benefit of yourself, I guess, and the company and direction and just,
I remember this was like, probably like 2019, 2020, we got our first advertising check. Like, it was like thousands. And I remember like Christmases before that and parties, people would be like, Justin, what are you doing with your life? What's going on? I'd be like, I'm starting this thing.
Yeah.
High Button, it's a podcast. We're going to do these little mic'd up. We're going to do a little live streaming. We're going to do a couple things. And everyone's like, oh, great. But you could see in their eyes, they're like, what is this guy talking about? And I remember that kind of hurt me a little bit, thinking people, they're not really taking me serious about what I'm going to do. But when I got that first check and I announced it, the amount of confidence, which I'm not saying is a right thing, I should be confident in general, but having that financial and moral support from another person who actually, if someone gives you money,
it's
that's
like
the
a stamp
biggest,
of approval almost,
I
like
don't know, it just does something for you that can take you to another planet.
And it almost, I hate to say it, but it almost makes you legit. Like,
Yeah.
you know, people understand. Like, I felt the exact same way as what you're saying. Like, and, you know, even people now are like, well, you know, you still don't have clients.
Yeah.
I get it. But it just, yeah, having that person, it just completely changes. It almost feels real. And I think for me, like, it felt like a hobby for a couple months because you're doing all the behind the scenes. And then all of a sudden I'm like, I have an investor. And then I'm like, oh, wow, we have to move fast. So, yeah, I definitely agree with what you're saying.
Yeah, it motivates you. It's a good
It
time,
does.
for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah. Money.
Money's money.
Money. Yeah. Money's money for sure.
What's the plan from now until, I thought you said April it's going to be ready. So, like, what are some of the things that you need to accomplish before it's 100% good to go?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I'm in beta testing 1 right now. So essentially what that means is it's static. So the app doesn't move, but it gets released to me. I can play with it. I can show people the functionality of it. So there's 3 versions that releases like throughout 2 months now. And each version just gets more and more functional. So as time goes on, I test the app, I give feedback, I give them other people's feedback, they make those changes, move forward. So the app is actually like framed already. It's just the API coding, so the back end of it.
Tough stuff.
Yeah, so it's all like the computer science of the app, where all the data is stored, how to scan the syllabus, like just all the back end of it. So it just looks like a lot of testing and giving back feedback. But essentially, I guess the quote unquote hard work is over within designing the visual part of the app. But we have weekly meetings. There's also still like maintenance afterwards, upgrades, stuff like that. So it's kind of a continuous process. But yeah, it's kind of a monthly release and then feedback and re-release.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
So when the app actually gets released and it's out in the public, anyone can use it.
Yeah, it's fully like
Okay.
Yeah, it's fully functional.
Are you still going to be doing like research when people give you feedback? Because you think about it, like no one has no idea what your app is, but a kid in Toronto is going to use it and go, wow, okay, this is great, but man, I don't really like this about it. Is there going to be a way for people to like comment, okay, this is what I like, this is what I don't like, and are you going to take that into consideration and kind of maybe apply it?
Yeah, definitely. So my website's really good. Like people can sign up directly and message me, and I've kind of used that as my platform to kind of give feedback. I have a lot of people close to me in real life that give me feedback, but that's a good point. I think it's just kind of, you can always improve stuff. I've really taken the time. I've tried my best to take the time and really analyze like beta 1 because
what's beta 1?
So sorry, yeah, beta 1, like beta 1, 2, 3. It's just like testing. Just think of it as testing. So
like version 1.
Version 1,
2,
exactly.
okay.
Yeah. So yeah, basically after all of those and you get feedback, like you can always build within those functions. So it can always change. And I have like continuous improvements. I have things I'm going to implement. So I definitely am open to feedback always because, again, I want this to be attractive. I want it to work and I want it to be successful for the student. So yeah, the students are directing me essentially.
Cool. Is it a free app?
No, it's not free.
How much?
So it's going to be $5.99 a month, I think, around that price. I haven't finalized it just because I'm kind of thinking of per semester versus monthly. So usually in university, like you would do September to December, that's a semester. But also monthly because I don't want to lock people in as well. But the real value in this is essentially you're getting like paired notifications. So just to like kind of re-explain it, the app's going to scan your syllabus, convert that into a calendar template. You can filter that kind of like per month, weekly. It shows you what's critical, what's due, when it's due, and then that's paired with notifications. So
like assignments, like what?
Yeah, so deadlines. So you'll essentially scan your syllabus that has like your quizzes, assignments, everything. It's going to pull all that information and how much it's worth for each class and essentially like convert that to like a visual aid. So the calendar, you'll be able to go and see it also with like a list view as well. So essentially we're just like converting the deadlines into something visual, but it's also paired with like push notifications. So there's a standard delivery system for, just anyone. And then there's also an ADHD option as well. So you're able to click that, go into the 4 different type of symptoms, and then those are actually linked to different notification systems, like based on your symptoms. So like if you hyper focus, I probably shouldn't say actually what that does, but anyway, it is geared towards certain symptoms to help them improve. If that makes sense.
Oh, I get it.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah. So it's a paired system. And I just think that like, again, having everything in one place, you're going to be able to like click on your anyway, I
No,
think I'm
no,
getting ahead of
yeah.
myself
You don't
here.
even wanna
It's
steal
hard.
any
It's hard
ideas.
not to, not even steal. I guess it's just like I'm in such a like changing kind of process right now. I don't want to say something and then release it, and they're like, "That's not on it." So, yeah, to
No,
be continued.
I like that. I like the notifications thing.
Yeah, I think it's good because everyone needs to be reminded about everything. I set reminders on my phone like every day. Like it's just so easy because it's literally right there. You're always on your phone. I'm a strong believer in that.
I'm a big Google Calendar guy. I'm not a
Yeah.
huge notifications guy, but first thing in the morning, coffee, Google Calendar. What are we doing? Like this, I'll tell this guy to plug things in, and then I'll just go, okay, what are we doing today? Who's going to be doing this? Who's doing that? But I didn't really come around to the Google Calendar until
I know.
2 years ago. Like, if
Me
I had
too.
it when I was younger.
Why was that so resistant? Like I was like, who needs Google Calendars? And then I got so busy and I missed a test and then I used it. I was like, okay, point proven. I should probably write down what I need to do.
I remember being in school and be like, all right, this assignment's due next Tuesday. And I'd be like, oh, I'll remember that, but not writing it down.
Yeah.
And then it's next Tuesday and everyone's pulling out their assignment. And I'm like, I can't believe I forgot that.
Oh my God. And that was like literally me. I went into work knowing I had a test. I literally went went home, went to bed.
Yeah.
And it's because I didn't write it down or have it anywhere. Like it was so silly, but here we are. So I guess it's actually kind of helpful.
So here's me in school and how there's a part of me that kind of wants to go back to school and just take a class and apply myself.
it.
I never applied myself. So here's a thing that happened. There was I was in school and everyone took a test, but some kids got caught cheating because there was 2 versions of the test.
Right.
And kids were looking over at the next row, which was a different test, but writing down the same answers. I wasn't one of those kids, but I remember I got a really good mark on it, and I studied. It was one of the rare times I studied, and I actually applied myself.
Yeah.
And then I got the email back saying, "Okay, guys, look, we're gonna have to retake this test.
Oh.
We know everyone cheated, and there's just like the one test. Like I cheated every now and then. I'll look.
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
But I actually studied and applied myself and got a good mark. So we had to go back, re-study everything,
Oh.
and then retake the test. And I don't think I did as well.
That's like heartbreak.
I didn't do as well on the second test. A part of me feels like I was stolen from me. Like I got the
Of
actual
course.
mark on the first
And like
one.
mindset would be completely different because you got
Yeah.
a certain mark on the first one. That's terrible.
And I remember that was like my second year university. And I remember after that happened, like my faith in school just kind of went down. I was just like, I'm not meant to be here. I gave it was like a accounting fundamental test, like the easiest.
Yeah.
But to me, it was
not
so
easy.
hard.
Accounting is not easy.
Yeah. It is, and it isn't.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing, though. What you were talking about, how like you're jealous of the people around you who do it so easily. Like there was people in my class who would take the test, boom, like that. They're getting a B+.
Yeah.
I have to work my ass off for a C+.
Yeah, I get it.
And I remember when that got taken away from me, and I got like a D on the rewrite. My confidence level just went down with school, and then eventually I just left.
Yeah,
And
yeah, like literally, like same. That like completely happened to me when I first went. Like I took science, got D's, like just felt like crap all the time because I'm like not doing well. Felt like I was applying myself. Maybe not the same situation, but just like feeling that way. Yeah, it's definitely something that I feel I don't want other people to feel, but I also know it's kind of a part of like knowing yourself and getting to know yourself
it's
in a
tough at that
positive
age,
way.
though.
I don't know. Yeah.
Have you done any talks at schools?
No, I haven't. I
feel like
haven't
you
done
should.
any talks at schools. I did a lot, I've done a lot of talking, I guess, just within like entrepreneurs, but I weirdly enough never thought I'd want to, but I really would love to like mentor someone or like, I guess even like, I wouldn't say tutor, but like teach on the side, just because I'm like passionate about it. And I like truly believe that people can do anything if it's like taught in the right way,
Yeah.
which kind of sounds corny, but like,
You should
It's
definitely be
true.
talking to some people.
yeah, we'll see. We'll see if I get invited anywhere. I've actually been bugging my old professor. It's funny. He always used to get me to do these fireside chats, which was essentially like we would invite these like entrepreneurs that were really successful, and I'd interview them. And then this year I was texting him. I'm like, so am I invited yet? He's like, no. Okay, maybe next year. So we'll see. We'll see.
Well, it's good.
Fingers crossed.
It's good that you want to do it.
Yeah, no,
You
I
know?
definitely want to. I think honestly, like I just did my business management degree, and that compared to like starting a business, like you're not really prepared. I was really surprised actually. Especially because I was in school as this all happened, and I felt like I had like the tools and resources, but like real life I guess can be different. And just even like the incorporation process. You know what I mean? Like registering your business, everything like that. There's no like how-to guide. I mean, it's on a government website, but
Wait till you have to start paying taxes. That's
I'm
a
so
whole
scared. I'm a
different thing.
corporation too.
It's a whole different ball.
Oh,
It's not
yeah.
different, but it's just you have to learn so much.
Yeah.
Like paying, and I'll give you when you have to come to that point, paying an accountant is worth it.
Absolutely.
The CRA website, it is complicated, but it's not. But having someone to kind of walk you through it just saved me a lot of hours.
Yeah. No, it's a blind process. I like weirdly started this YouTube channel last year just because I love talking about financial things, and I just again think people should know things that I had to learn the hard way. And that's not a bad thing. It's just, why not share that information? And I was thinking of just starting kind of like a series of like starting your own business and like what to do and what not to do. And I don't know if that would be beneficial, but I think for maybe someone, I could have used that. So I'm thinking that might be kind of like a side hobby, but when I have some time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's an interesting balance when you're first starting things out because there's so many, like this guy, he graduated from Ryerson, correct? He studied sports media, something I never did. So when he came, he had so much knowledge from that program that he applied here. That's why he's sitting in that chair. But you almost have to let your ego down because for the past, I started this in 2017. He came on last year. So for how many years I'm doing everything by myself,
Yeah.
but not my ego's big, but I feel like I can do everything. But in order to grow, you have to let other people in to manage certain things.
Yep.
And it's tough for a lot of people. But if you can do that and allow people to help you, the quicker you'll grow, I think.
Yeah, and delegating, like
Yeah.
that's my number one advice too. It's like just delegate and trust that person because again, I'm the same way. I kind of just like to keep everything in and control it. But again, you're a better leader when you ask for help and you ask for that point of view and expertise.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I agree with you on that.
Any advice for young people out there? Or people you're like maybe not young, but just people that maybe want to do their own thing in your space.
Well, I never thought in my life I'd be an entrepreneur ever. I thought I'd just be like a traditional kind of manager. Like seriously, that's all I kind of saw my life being. So I guess for me, I've kind of been on an untraditional path just in the sense of I didn't finish university on time. I went back as a mature student. And I it sounds kind of corny again, but just like believe in yourself and just know that like not everyone's like staring at you, when you're in the moment and you think, everyone's looking at you, judging you, or like you're not like your friend who, got promoted to a certain position. Like just know that like your time will come if you put in the hard work. Yeah, that would be my biggest point of advice. And not every hardship is a hardship in the long run when you look back on it. Like weirdly enough, I feel like I'd never grow this much and use my degree this much if I would have done it when I was 18, whereas now it's completely changed my life. Honestly, I can't describe how amazing it was, but at the same time, like me walking into class on my first day, like I was so nervous. I'm like the girl in the front raising my hand. I'm like, oh god, this is weird. But then I just went into class one day and I'm like, I don't care. You know what, like at the end of the day, I'm enjoying what I'm doing. I'm learning a lot. And yeah, for me, it's been easy because I don't really care what other people think now. But yeah, that's hard to learn when you're young. Definitely hard to learn. And especially if you have people around you. All my friends always knew what they wanted to do. And I never had that ever until I was in the position or in the career that gave me that, feel good or I was good at something. And then I'm like, okay, I'm kind of interested in that. It's just like playing around, trusting yourself and yeah, just following your passion, I guess. Not letting other people influence that.
Really well said. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Do you want to thank anyone?
Yeah, my family, like my mom and my sister, as well as like my profs at Mount St. Vincent, like Jeff McKinnon, Sandy. They've just made such a difference in my life. To have a professor that has like Jeff has literally been on lawyer calls with me to just like say what I'm trying to say, but he's an accountant, you know what I mean? And just like taking that stress off of me to not like mess up like, CRA. It's a very fine line. So just having that person to kind of lean on, again, trusting that person. But yeah, just the professors really made a difference in my life, and we're actually like still friends. We still chat all the time. Yeah, it's been really cool. So yeah, just thank you to everyone. It's been an amazing experience. Thanks, Chris Knott.
Yeah, that's awesome. I like your energy. That's
Thank you.
I appreciate you coming in. This is
Thank you very
I think
much.
it was a very beneficial podcast for a
Yeah.
lot of people listening, and myself too.
I
It was good.
appreciate that. Thank you.
Do you want to promote anything about the app? Do you want to I don't even know if we said the name of it.
Yeah,
Well,
I don't.
I'll say it in the intro, but
That's
if
fair
you want to
enough.
the web, like
Yeah,
you go.
absolutely. So it's called Studentgizor. You can look me up at studentgizor.com or on Facebook, Instagram. I'm on all those things. And yeah, just stay tuned for the release. I just want to pump people up. So if people want to follow me on all those different social media platforms, that would be great. And again, on my website, I try to update people. So I try to tell them which testing I'm in and if I need people for that. Same with my Facebook page. I kind of find that hasn't gained as much traction, but that's an easy way to, ask questions or anything like that. So you can leave your email number. And yeah, stay tuned for September of 2022.
Awesome. Well, Megan Cook, thank you very much for coming in and joining the podcast. I do
Thank you very
appreciate
much.
it.
Thank you.
Awesome. Everyone listening, thank you very much for tuning in. It is Friday. We're going to release this on Monday. So it's the beginning of the week. Work hard, have fun, stay safe, do what you got to do. We are out. Peace.